Welcome to Your Pharmacy Career Podcast, proudly produced by Ravens Recruitment, the experts in pharmacy career and locum services for over 30 years. Every episode is your gateway to new opportunities in the pharmacy profession. From expert advice to inspiring success stories, we're here to spark ideas, guide your career, and help you achieve your goals. Stay tuned. The next step in your pharmacy journey starts here.
Hello and welcome back to Your Pharmacy Career Podcast. I'm Christy Patterson, and today I'm really thrilled to be joined by Adele Tahan, the owner of Adele Pharmacy in Rozelle, Sydney. Adele's career is nothing short of inspiring. She has vaccinated thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people during COVID-19 pandemic, and she's built and established her own pharmacy businesses from scratch. And she's even been a strong voice in pharmacy advocacy with her work with the 8th Community Pharmacy Agreement. Adele, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today.
Kirsty, it's my pleasure, and thank you for inviting me. Very humbled.
Thank you. Well, I always like to start at the beginning, and I ask everyone the same question in the beginning, and that's what inspired you to become a pharmacist?
That's a great question. That's what I actually, as part of my interview questions for any new pharmacist I try to hire. It's a small, very short story. I was 7 years old, and I was sitting between mum and dad. You know, that conversation comes up, what you're going to do when you grow up. And I thought, dentistry, I'm not sure if I want to be staring in someone's mouth all day. Medicine, great profession. It's such a noble profession, but I don't want to be studying for 20 years. I thought, you know what? When I grow up, I'm going to have my own pharmacy. That would be a really great profession. You help people, you make a difference in their lives. It's a very respected profession. And you'll never be out of work. And given the fact that my mom used to be a nurse and my dad was a factory owner, he comes from a small business background, I thought it was a great, future career for myself to be an owner of a community pharmacy. And that was just when I was 7.
Wow, that's amazing. But as much as I've known you, I'm not really surprised. I feel like you get an idea in your head and then you just stick to it. So I'm not surprised that you had that idea when you were 7 and you ended up doing it. So well done.
Thank you. I think you know me very well. You know how I'm the type who doesn't think anything is impossible. I've been very blessed to grow up in a very loving household with a very supportive mum and dad and brothers, but I could just put all the credit to my mum and dad because they supported me 100% in any decision I took. And even, of course, I'm like everyone else now. I'm not perfect, but their love and support was very, very important to my life.
Oh, I can definitely see that, in you. Now, I guess speaking of your family and where you've grown up, you were actually French educated. So is French your first language or is English your first language?
Pretty much, yes. Yes. So that is correct. I went to a French private school. And so, it was basically growing up in Lebanon. At the school I went to, you did either English or French, but the school I went to was mostly French. That means that I studied all the sciences from math to biology to chemistry to physics, plus a French literature. Plus, you learn things in Arabic like history and philosophy and geography. Plus, you learn also Arabic literature, which is a lot difficult than many other languages. And then from high school onwards, we have to study English as well. So when I graduated doing the French baccalaureate or the IB, International Baccalaureate, I was fluent in 3 languages.
Well, I was going to ask you about your own family life, and I guess that's probably perfect timing. Now, you've got 2 twins, and they're with you today. I can hear them in the background. How has that gone for you? Like, you've worked in pharmacy your whole life, done your own thing, and we will touch on that pharmacy career, but I think this is just a good time to chat about your twins. Yeah, you're raising twins and you're owning a business at the same time. Can you just tell us a little bit about that journey and, how has that shaped who you are?
Sure, Christy. Look, I've always wanted to be a mother. I would say becoming a mother is the greatest achievement of my life. bigger than being a pharmacist and running a business. The love and the affection and the inspiration that I get from my 29-month-old the twins is just inspiring. I don't know. It's hard for me to describe it because it's such a fulfilling, giving birth and raising them. And now they're like 29 months. And one of them, we've seen them just a minute early. They're just so happy. They're thriving. They're growing. I just can't believe that like 3 years ago they weren't around and now they're almost running the household. No, just I would say becoming a mother is like really the greatest thing I've ever done. And I mean, the amount of love I get from them and give them, it just, I can't describe it. And I'm sure many mothers out there and parents and fathers out there, they know exactly what I'm referring to. I mean, as you know, I'm a very passionate person and I can't imagine myself doing anything that I'm not 100% passionate about, where I really love what I do it. And look, it's hard. I'm not saying it's not hard. Everything is hard. Running a business, studying to be a pharmacist, changing over from full-on French to full-on English. That is challenges, but you know what? The journey it was very exciting. And I every day I was just today thinking that hopefully next week at Pharmacy Connect, we'll hear an announcement about the dermatology trials and it'll become business as usual. So then everybody out there in the state of New South Wales can actually deliver such service to all the patients everywhere. So that's quite exciting. I'm hoping that we will hear good news, but it's just a small announcement like that can make me happy, can make me feel more energetic, more energized to continue on learning, continue on delivering. But yeah, my kids, they're the greatest gift I've ever had. And, I'm raising them as a single mother, but I think it's a lot easier to be a single mother sometimes. I do have a big army of nannies and babysitters, and they do attend childcare Monday to Friday. And look, I mean, they're doing extremely well. And the main thing, we're all healthy, we're happy, peace. And that's very, very, you can't put a cost on it. It's priceless.
Yeah. Oh, that's just amazing. And I've seen the little ones from when they were literally babies, and yeah, you doing it on your own, like it's just so inspiring. Like I come see you in the pharmacy and you've got them in the playpen and still running the business, and you've got your dog there as well, which I love. But you just get on with the day, and I just think that's really inspiring. And as you said, like it's hard, life's hard. It's not meant to be easy, but you just get on and find people around you that can help you. But if we can maybe just go backwards to when you started your pharmacy business. Yeah, you were quite young. I believe you were like in your early 20s. Is that right?
That is correct, yes, because I finished my degree in 96. And as you know, you graduate the following year around March. So by March 97, I graduated. I was registered by October 97. And then I went to the UK in 99, where I worked in hospitals, Reading Hospital and Franchise Hospital in Bristol. And they offered me a lot of jobs, but I got so homesick, I ran back home. And then and that was by the year 2000. And then by the end of 2000, I pretty much bought a license in Campbelltown, and I designed and built the medical center pharmacy in Campbelltown, in the big medical center on Queen Street. I started there, and 3 years later, I purchased the Roselle Pharmacy. And I purchased it because, as you may know, my younger brother is also a pharmacist. And, well, he's got another degree before that. And when he couldn't find a job in forensic science, I said, well, why don't you go and study pharmacy? So he took it on board. And 4 years later, he became a registered pharmacist. So I wanted to help him because, as you know, it's quite hard to get to become an owner and, any support. And it was quite hard for me. It took me 2 years to get in, but maybe it's maybe a bit over 2 years, but I was so eager to make my dreams a reality and to put them in practice that I've created also solutions I needed to become an owner. And by 2007, I was designing my third pharmacy, which also was built from scratch, and that was in the shopping center in Campbelltown. The Roselle Pharmacy that I still own and run, I've always owned and ran on my own. I also redesigned the entire entire site and rebuild it from scratch. So I've had a lot of influence over design, system, processes, banner, marketing, also branding, services. As you know, Roselle was built from scratch as well. We introduced compounding. When vaccination was allowable in New South Wales, we built the 2 rooms. And right now, the pharmacy does all the services that any pharmacist in New South Wales can provide. So I love what I do, and I feel like I'll probably be a pharmacist forever. And I'll be also continuing on delivering services forever, like for as long as I can, of course. Look, I mean, if I know my kids, they probably are doing exactly what I'm doing. They even walk like me. It's scary. Why is my son walking so quickly? And then I'm like, but hold on, I don't think the apple fall far away from the tree.
Well, you never know. Maybe one of the twins might carry on the legacy.
Absolutely. It'll be a very exciting journey.
That's exactly right. Well, I'm sure no matter what they put their minds to, they'll be amazing at it. And yeah, with the same support that your parents gave you, I'm sure you will support them 100% in whatever that is. So for some of our listeners, a lot are early career pharmacists, or they might be considering ownership themselves. What advice would you give a young pharmacist that is, wanting to maybe they've found a couple of pharmacies? Yeah, so when you're trying to decide maybe like building one from the ground up or buying an existing pharmacy, you've done both. Yeah, what advice would you give to a young pharmacist that maybe is deciding, to do one or the other?
Okay, well, first of all, I would encourage any pharmacist to pursue their dreams and to build a network of support around them. There's always pharmacists who, pharmacists love to help, and we always give free advice in order to help people. And to help another pharmacist to get into ownership is something that I would love personally, and I know so many other pharmacists would. I would tell young pharmacists that it's rewarding, it's hard work, but it's worth it. And like anything in life, you can't get anywhere in life without hard work. Unless you're a gambler and you think you're going to win, by just trying your luck. And I don't believe in luck. I believe in being present and being 98% committed to doing something, or even 100%. But, you might have a 2% luck, but at the end of the day, it's showing up. Buying an existing business, that means there is cash flow. As you know, cash is queen, not king, it's queen. And establishing business from scratch also has got its merit, depend on where it is and how big the business is, what sort of support around you for marketing and banner and wholesalers. But there's always the element that you're not going to have the cash flow that you'll be relying on if you buy an existing goodwill. And, cash is queen. And without it, really, I don't know if you've done the AICD, the Australian Institute of Company Directors, but the statement of cash flow is the most important statement out of all the other potential statements. And also you'll have a goodwill, and then you can work on it and expand it.
That's exactly right. I think, like having my own business and starting it from scratch, yes, the cash flow is very hard when you're starting something from nothing. Like it's really difficult. So I think not that buying an existing pharmacy is going to be easy, but I think it would probably, like as you said, you've got that goodwill there. So maybe, especially if you're maybe for first time buyers, that might be a good option to look at something like that.
Yeah. The other piece of advice I would tell anyone, young and more mature pharmacists out there, is go for it. Don't be afraid. Do your due diligence. Get surrounded by a good accountant who understands pharmacy, a good lawyer who understands the legal requirements of pharmacy ownership and running it, and also educate yourself. Read. Find out information, ask your friends and colleagues, get into the circle of influence where there are very smart, driven, successful pharmacists. And I know thousands of them, to be honest. And I think what you've got to go for is your passion again. You're passionate and everything falls into place. But don't be afraid. And there'll always be people who will tell you, oh, it's hard and it's difficult and you got to work hard and you got to do this and you got to do that. But you know what? That's the whole of life. Life everywhere, whatever we choose to do, it's hard work. And I always said that to my mother, my late mother. She passed away last year. I said, Mom, I never got anywhere in life without hard work, but it's worth it. I do encourage anybody to pursue that option. It's very rewarding. Then you get the chance to do all the things you want in your business. You can innovate, you can put in new services, you can remove services if you didn't feel it fits in with your vision. And you can even create things like you, Christy Lee. You're one of the people I admire, and I love what you came up with your learning platform. And, I tell all the new pharmacists I'm interviewing to subscribe to it and learn from it. So it's you're doing a great service.
Thank you. That means so much to me. And yeah, you're right. I think, just go for it is great advice. And you might not get it right all the time, but you've got to give it a go, right? And like you said, there are always going to be people that will give you reasons why you can't do something or you shouldn't do something. And a lot of the time, like I know in my experience, I don't know if it's your experience as well, but sometimes it's the people that haven't done those things that are so willing to give you this advice. And sometimes it actually comes from their own, I guess, maybe issues within themselves. And yeah, rather than being supportive, it's maybe that they're not happy in what they're doing in themselves or something instead. Whereas I find people that have done those things or done something different, they're the ones that are more supportive of people trying new things. Is that would you say that that's correct in your experience?
Absolutely. 100%. I think if you have some people that you trust and they love you and respect you, they're the ones you could, consult them. But there's a lot of people who will give you a million reasons why you shouldn't do it. And unfortunately, these people haven't done anything. I'm like, how can you possibly know this about pharmacy? And I mean, even now, you'll probably be surprised. There's certain people I know that unfortunately their family who continue on giving me lectures, even though I've been owing multiple pharmacies on my own and running them. I just stopped even talking to these people about any projects, similar to the projects I mentioned to you before the recording started. It's always surprising how they tend to give you an opinion, even though you didn't ask for it. Thank you. Not asking, I'm just, mentioning it. And then now I'm at this stage, well, there's no point talking to that person about anything because I already know the answer, or they know all the answers, but they've never done it.
Yeah, yes, that's exactly it. Oh, that's so funny. But yeah, I think surrounding yourself with people that are supportive and positive. And yeah, I think one of the things that I've realized in my career so far is it's not necessarily quantity but quality. So the people around you, you might not have all these people. You'll have heaps of people that you know and can connect with, and it's nice to catch up with them at conferences. But yeah, the quality is definitely fewer, but I'm quite happy with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? They will start creating problems that you've never heard of. This is nothing personal, by the way. I think they themselves don't believe that they can do it. And they try to impose their beliefs and their values on what you're trying to do, even though they don't know you very well and they've never seen you performing. And I'm thinking, well, no, you haven't done anything. How can you come and tell me I can't do something that I know I've done it before? One of the things that I've done, and I'll just mention it because I think it's quite relevant. When I used to be on the guild, as you know, I was a national councillor and I was on the government relations and public relations team. We were drafting the strategic plan for the part of the government relations, public relations. And part of that, it's all about the details and how detailed we get into it. And I remember very clearly we had that meeting in Canberra at the Guild's head office, and the government relations and public relations, which is the biggest one at the Guild, was in meeting and in strategy. And we were writing on the board all the things I want to see happening. And I started writing all scope of practice things, like from A to Z. I said, that's what I want. I want everything in New South Wales. And then I remember David Heffernan looked at me and he had a very soft smile on his face. I'm like, he's probably thinking, yeah, Adele goes for everything. She's just like, once it, she's going to get it. But interesting enough, in November 23, Dominic Perrottet announced at a press conference on Sunday morning. I remember I drove all the way up the north to Monavale, and he made this announcement that if his government get re-elected at the March 23 elections, he will enable full scope of practice in New South Wales. But better still, that pharmacists will be able to prescribe the oral contraceptive pill. And at the time, we were the first and only state in the entire country who was able to do so. Queensland wasn't even able to do it. So we went from the bottom of the pack to leading the pack. And that was just such an amazing event because the vision statement that I was writing it down, it actually happened. Fast forward a year ago, 1st of September 24, I don't know if you recall, if you were at Pharmacy Connect, but Ryan Park announced that all fully trained pharmacists, as per the Queensland scope of practice, will be able to prescribe for all the conditions, excluding chronic conditions, from the 1st of January 2025. However, unfortunately, I haven't been on the guild, and fast forward 1st of January, this didn't happen, and hopefully I'm keeping my fingers crossed that they would have been able to get it through. I'm sure the team is trying their best, but sometimes, and then people see other people doing it, they think it's easy. When they started doing it, they go, it's not as easy. But anyhow, it's all good. I mean, I'm hoping that we'll have good news next week. We'll hear it.
Yeah, so hopefully when people listening to this will be able to celebrate with the announcement, which will be really exciting. So that's a good segue, Adele, to chat about your advocacy. And you've been on the guild for a number of years and you were actually involved with the community pharmacy agreement. So for some of the people that are maybe listening that aren't really aware of what that actually is and why that is important to pharmacy. And maybe if you can also share what your experience of that was as well.
Yeah, sure. Now, thank you for the question. Look, I was having dinner with a group of 3 pharmacists on Friday night. It was one of them's birthday we were celebrating. As you know, she was just, we were talking about announcements, scope of practice, as you would talk with pharmacists who are like-minded. And I said to her that, I know the announcement's coming up. And she said, oh, you're not with the guild anymore. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not with the guild, but I said to her, the reason I was with the guild is because of the advocacy I started back in 2008 and 2009. I said to her, I ran this big campaign to stop the state government back in 2008 from acquiring my pharmacy in Rozelle. And that campaign, part of that campaign was a big massive petitions. I was seeing ministers at Parliament House. Cy Banks was coming with me to all those meetings. He was like a spectator, basically. I was running meetings, those political meetings with transport ministers, with shadow transport ministers, with various other ministers from the state. And I was advocating against the acquisition of my pharmacy. And then I organized the rally. And not long ago, I was actually looking at the photos of that rally. And I think there was over 1,000 people who showed up at that rally. And fast forward 2010, you probably were too young to remember, but Christina Keneally was made Premier of New South Wales. She replaced Nathan Rees. And on her appointment as Premier, she announced that the project of the acquisition, which is the Sydney Metro, will be cancelled. That means my pharmacy won't be acquired by the state government. She thought I was on the guild because that's how my access to politicians. And I said to her, actually, I was the one who was enabling the access to politicians for the guild. I quickly mentioned that campaign that I ran, and that campaign was successful. And it was quite, again, like people kept on telling me why I should give up and why I shouldn't worry about it and why I shouldn't do anything. And I'm like, no, I'm doing it. And I did it. I went around all the property owners. They gave me funds to run the campaign. The local council assisted me. They even distributed my leaflets. It was a full-blown campaign. Like I created websites, petitions. We went around door knocking the whole of Darling Street from Lilyfield, going through Roselle to Balmain and Birchgrove. And we pushed so hard, and we had enormous support from the community. And that, all the good things you did for your local community, it came back 1,000 times. They were writing letters. They came to the rally. They were making phone calls. And eventually we were spared, and my pharmacy is still there. And one of my very good friends, Richard Walsh, he said to me, Adele, you've already proven yourself. You've done it. And I was a bit kind of taken back, because, you do things and you don't realize what you've done. But really, I've actually made history. And now the project behind me is going, the Leagues Club is being built. As you know, I'm not sure if you've heard of. They're building around 227 dwellings with a massive car park and a supermarket underground. So, yeah, and then since then, I realized, I was the type of person who was more interested in music rather than politics. And now all what I watch is Q&A and the news. And I'm like, I know everything that's happening in politics. It's pretty boring and scary at the same time, but I absolutely love it. And to continue, even though I haven't been on the guild now for almost 12 months, but I love my politics. And 2 weeks ago, I was at a function with Chris Minns and various other federal and state ministers. So since that campaign and how it all happened, I realized how important it is to build strong relationship and friendship with your local MPs. Since that campaign also, I started being included in a lot of political activities by the Guild and being invited to various functions. And I remember the functions in 2013, I think before Tony Abbott became Prime Minister, and we went to a function. He came to our table and he was just chatting to Cy Banks and other various guild officials at the time. And I remember asking him, I said, can you please enlarge the M5? It's just like it's too small. It's only 2 lanes. I mean, how can you make like a massive motorway in Sydney and there's only 2 lanes? Like Western Sydney is going to be like the biggest next city in the country, and you've only got 2 lanes connecting the main CBD of Sydney, or the Sydney Metro to the main Campbelltown part. He said, yeah, we will do it. And then, within a couple of years, it started being done and being expanded. So it was great. And I'm sure it wasn't just me. It would have been a lot of other people, advocating for it. But it's important to have those private conversations. Many stories have happened like that. The other story that happened is fast forward when Emma McBride got elected as an MP, and Emma and I, we went to uni together. So I've known Emma. I also supported her in her campaign because she approached the Guild, and Guild threw some parties for her and supported her. And, we reconnected after so many years because, it's been 10 years or even 20 years since 10 years since we got registered. So I said to her, look, I'd like to invite Albanese to my pharmacy. As you know, she's a Labour MP in Albanese. And he was the local member and then local federal member where I live and where my pharmacy is. Fast forward, the second day I had a call from his office saying, oh, yeah, we can come tomorrow and have morning tea. So here I am organizing morning tea for Anthony, and he was meant to be there for like half an hour. I think he was there for an hour and a half. We organized the morning tea with French patisserie and coffees, and we invited some of the locals, and he absolutely loved it. And since then, he started inviting me and my brother and all my staff to all the various functions in the city. This is how we slowly build up the relationship with him. And that was back in 2016. There are some photos of that event on my website, on Adele Pharmacy's website. People think, how did you manage to go and see the PM? And I'm like, well, like anything in life, you got to build it. You got to work on it. It's hard work. And it's all based on trust. You can't build a relationship with anyone when you're going to backstab them. You've got to really have that trust factor, and that ties in with respect. And that's how we became friends. And when the opportunity came, when we had the 60 days saga, I don't know I'm sure you recall, it hasn't been long ago. I was the only one that he met with. They brought him to his electoral office in Marrickville, where I met with him one-on-one. There was not even anyone else in the room except his media advisor was in there as well. And then afterwards, the next meeting was when we were negotiating the 8th CPA, and by the 28th of February 2024, the Guild was nowhere near getting an agreement. They were meeting with the department, several meetings. They were hitting loggerheads. And, in the meantime, there were a lot of text messages going backward and forward between me and Anthony Albanese. And then, the 28th of February was critical because the 1st of March were the deadline for the new agreement. So I contacted him. I said, I'd like to go and see you. A meeting was arranged. I took my twins, drove to Canberra, met him in his office on the 28th of February in the morning around 10:30. And that's when we negotiated part of the agreements, the most important part of the agreements. One of them was the dollar discount, how it has to be removed, how we need specific compensation for 60 days. One of the conversations I remember very clearly when he said to me, I can't do this. No, I can't. I said, well, if you're the Prime Minister of Australia, you can't do this, then who will? And then he probably stopped and he goes,
oh, maybe.
Right.
Well, if that's not a negotiation, I don't know what is. Well done.
To the date, the Pharmacy Guild of Australia signed the head of agreement at APP. It was the 13th of March on the Gold Coast. The day before, there were all the officials from the Department of Health. They flew to the Gold Coast. We were in meeting. We were in session. The National Council was in session. And all of a sudden, I see all this people leaving the meeting and disappearing. In the afternoon, Trent Toomey said to us, we've had them all here. The secretary of the Department of Health, the assistant secretary, all of those people flew in with their legal counsel, and we've just signed the head of agreement. And these are the details of the agreements, which no doubt you will be able to remember it or find it. And so, that was pretty impressive. And of course, one of that part of that deal was, okay, you give us the agreement with all the things we want, and you become the godfather of my twins. Of course, he just couldn't wait to be the godfather because he's never been the godfather, apparently. That's what Jodie Hayden said to us, his fiance. Thank you. But, the advocacy continues, and I'm still very much involved on a political level. And it's not just within the Labour Party that I'm involved. I mean, I live in a Labour-dominant area. I do have some of the values that the Labour Party believes in and love, and I believe in it, like healthcare, education, that I believe that everyone should have access to it. If we're not healthy, we can't work. We can't live a good life. We can't pay our taxes. The more educated and empowered we are, the better the jobs and what we can produce. But I think most importantly is how we can help other people. If while raising my children, this is the biggest thing I want them to do, is to be able to help other people, to be kind and compassionate. And I think this is more important than anything that anybody can do. David Malabo, he's a South African scholar. He said, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Care is and health has care in it. It's healthcare. So we're healthcare professionals. We've got to have this empathy right in the middle of what we do every single day in every single conversation. And it's just so fulfilling, honestly. I always get surprised at how people forget that. But I had a function a couple of weeks ago with Chris Minns. And see, Chris's parents-in-law used to live in Roselle, and they used to come to my pharmacy for a long time. His father-in-law, Tom, unfortunately, he had Parkinson's. His condition got a lot worse, and he had to relocate with Chris and his daughter Anna, who's married to Chris. And when Chris saw me, he goes, oh, Catherine and Tom, they love you. They love your pharmacy. They love you. And I'm like, I love them too. And how is Tom? And that's when he said to me, he's unfortunately passed away. And then he said, oh, a week later, my father passed away. And I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. And then he put his hand around my shoulder, and we had a good photo. And I said, look, whatever it is, we're not in the queue anymore in Scope. We want to be at the head of the queue. Can you please make it happen? Just put the bureaucrat on the side. They have a job to do, but you're the leader and you're the elected official, and it's on you. So hopefully he'll listen next week.
We'll wait and see what happens. I like what you said, though, about care in regards to healthcare. And I think, sometimes we can forget that. And I think, as pharmacists, almost all of us, I would say, got into it because we want to help people. And what's inspiring to me is to see someone such as yourself that's been in the industry, on the ground, in the face of it, through so many different ups and downs, like global financial crisis, COVID, as well as just everything else, everyday life, ups and downs, having twins, but you still show up every day, you're still working full time, but you can still hear and see the passion. And I hope that I am still as passionate. And then throughout the future, I'm still as passionate every day. But I think, yeah, if we can try and remember that care component of it. And when I reflect on my interactions with customers or patients, I had one the other day and it was just one patient, like it was busy. She needed something for thrush and I could have just handed her what she asked for and sent her on her way. But after the conversation, turned out that I felt like it was lichen sclerosis and more dermatitis because she's postmenopause and everything. And I actually got a call from her today and she was almost in tears saying, like, thank you so much. Like, you took the time and the care to actually come and talk to me about this. And she's like, I've been dealing with this for years and no one was listening. So I think that's what I see and hear from you as well. And yeah, I just want to ask you, what motivates you to show up with that same passion every day? Because some days it's really hard. Let's be honest.
Oh, it is. It is absolutely. Yesterday I was so tired and I thought, no, I'm going to go and open the pharmacy and do the whatever hours I can. I am looking for extra help. I was very, very blessed that 2 weeks ago I've had a great guy applying. I grabbed him straight away. He's now in his second week and he's amazing. And I just feel I actually prayed. I prayed for it. And I got his CV and I'm a compounding pharmacy, right? I have a compounding pharmacy and I do need someone who's qualified. And this guy's done all the qualifications. He's like my mirror image and I've attracted the right person because I persisted in what I want. Yeah, I'm looking for someone else. But yesterday I was tired. The night before I was up a bit late. I had friends over. I still have a full social life. And I just can't imagine living my life. We're not going to be on this planet for very long. We will be, and I just want to make every single moment count. I want to enjoy life to the fullest and deliver and do as much as I can. And I have a lot to give and I'm going to continue on giving it. But, while I was working yesterday, a lady came in from Hunters Hill. She had a script to be compounded for a mouthwash. Her husband has been diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. He's going lung cancer and he's started his chemotherapy, which is part of a trial. And he's got a sore mouth and he needed dexamethasone mouthwash. And she needed it urgently because he was very uncomfortable. As you know, the person is not well. And I said, look, you know what? I've got a formula. I'm going to make it now for you. You'll just have to take a seat and allow me to take the steps that are required because I can't skip any step when it comes to compounding. So I did the risk assessment for her. I don't call it risk assessment because they all get scared, customers. I say, look, I've got to ask you a few questions. It's like around 20 pages long, but that's all right. We have a chat, right? We don't really... And so, can I just ask you a few questions? Do you mind? And they go, oh, no. Let's say, do you have any allergies, any medications? And she goes, oh, my God, he's on a lot of medication. I said, all right, that's fine. Can you take a photo and send them to me? Here's my email address. I took her through all the steps and the processes and then she sent me the list from someone at home. I noted it down and I made it for her and she left and she's got a solution for her problem. And it was a Sunday. It was like around 2:00 by the time she left. And I feel so good with myself helping someone who's unwell. And she's very kind, very, very polite, very appreciative. And that just gives you a lot more, energy to continue on making a difference in her life and the life of her loved ones. So, yeah, it's great. So, yeah, the energy, the passion, but yeah, it does get tiring sometimes and you do get frustrated at times, but just continue going because you've got to focus on your purpose. Purpose is a lot more important than anything else. I was reading this thing the other day, and when a lion is chasing a deer, often the deer wins because the deer is running for their lives. That means purpose is a lot more important than the immediate goal, because if the deer doesn't win, the deer would be gone.
Well, Adele, I've really enjoyed our conversation. And I think from you sharing your story, talking about like the resilience in building the pharmacies up from nothing, your contributions to the CPA and other advocacy work, and your continued leadership and advocacy for the profession, even if it might not be in a official role, but you're certainly still fighting for pharmacists and improving our industry, which is really inspiring. Is there any final words or thoughts you'd like to share with our listeners before we wrap up today?
Sure. And thanks for the opportunity to do that podcast. Look, I just say to everybody, like, whatever is your dream, whatever is your vision, just go and do it. And you will make mistakes, but that's okay. You don't make mistakes. You don't make anything. Don't be afraid. Make sure the mistakes are calculated. And if you're going to gamble, use $5. Don't use like $500,000. And if you lose or anything like that, you learn for next time. And you're not starting from scratch. You're starting from experience. And that's really valuable. And like you, Christy Lee, you started from scratch and you're learning all the ups and downs of, a startup. But it's the what you're doing is new. And I love the fact that you're having the courage and the conviction to go for it. I admire you, and I encourage you to continue on going. And I'm going to be here, a friend to admire and applaud you every single time, even when you make mistakes, but that's okay. And I just say to everybody, just go for it. Don't be afraid. And you can say anything. It's just in a delivery. So if you want to talk to a patient, or a patient being rude and violent and aggressive towards you, and that will happen, it's okay. Just be kind, be calm, listen to it, take a deep breath. Sometimes say nothing, just walk away, just say thank you. Often I say to people, thank you, and walk away. And people get agitated. They get surprised. They go, how come she's not saying anything? You're not saying anything. Like, thank you, have a great day, all the best. Walk away. Wish them all the best. It's a law of karma, it's the cause and effect. Whatever you give out comes back to you. And the more you give positive stuff and supportive stuff, is like, that's exactly what happened to me when I was trying to fall pregnant. And the first time I fell pregnant and I was successful. And I fell pregnant with twins, a boy and a girl. I was done. I hit the jackpot. So yeah, maybe someone else will hit the jackpot as well. And you never know. If you never try, you never know.
You certainly did. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's really practical advice to all of our listeners. And also I want to remind everyone listening that your pharmacy career is about community, care, and passion. I think they're the three themes that I've seen throughout our conversation today. So thank you so much, Adele, for joining us on the show today.
Thank you so much, Christy Lee, and all the best.
Thanks for tuning in to Your Pharmacy Career Podcast, proudly sponsored by the Pharmaceutical Society of Australia. The PSA is committed to empowering pharmacists through advocacy, innovation, and industry-leading professional development. To become a member or learn more about how the PSA can support your career, visit www.psa.org.au. Don't forget to subscribe, share this podcast with your colleagues, and join us next time as we continue to explore your pharmacy career journey.